Hello everyone. So I had this idea to talk about quotes and then y'all can comment what you think about it and we can see if people interpret it the same or like have different insights about it. I wanted to start with a quote about expectations because it's something I've been thinking about a lot. How our expectations of the future is what causes us to be afraid. We expect certain things to happen because of the past. Not necessarily that it will repeat, but we learn to navigate the world and perceive things differently. On Instagram, I saw this quote and Jay Shetty posted it. It was a quote from Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. No, I have no idea what goes on there, but apparently it was this guy, James Dugan. I have no idea. D-U-I-G-A-N. Not sure how to pronounce that. But the quote just says, "Remove expectation from people and you will remove their powers to hurt your feelings. If you don't like something, just take away its only power, your attention." So I read that and I was kind of like, that is true. Like when people disappoint us, it's because we had a different expectation. Often I either have like too low expectations or too high expectations, and both of these extremes are attempts to avoid getting hurt, because if you have low expectations, then when people disappoint you, you're like, well, I expected that to happen anyway, so it basically doesn't sting as much. But that's not really a good place to be, because if you're always expecting the worst all the time, then you might manifest bad things to happen to you, or you might not act in certain ways that you should, or you might treat people poorly just because you expect bad things and therefore you don't want to give your full self in time and energy into other people because you expect that they're going to disappoint you. But the flip side is that you expect too much, or you have really, really high expectations that are kind of impossible to meet, in which case, like, these are kind of the perfectionist people where like everything has to be a certain way and it has to be perfect or life sucks. And then of course you're going to be disappointed on this end too, because when things go wrong or when someone hurts you, you're like, damn, like you're comparing it to this high standard that you had, but really came out here and you're like, both extremes are bad for different reasons. And so you're kind of like, well, what's the middle then? And I would say the middle is that you don't have expectations at all. Like, you have to let life come moment by moment. Obviously, we're gonna have subconscious expectations that we're not fully aware of, but the ones we are aware of, you have to not let it control you. I think we're all guilty of this. But if you're feeling like you're expecting the worst from someone, a situation, or even yourself, like if you expect the worst in yourself, of course you're not gonna improve. And if you expect the best in yourself, but you can't even meet your own standard because it's literally either impossible or not realistic, then you're still gonna be disappointed in yourself. And so if you just don't have expectations, and if you feel like, I want the best for myself, but what that means I might not necessarily know yet. And so I shouldn't sit here and predict the future from the past necessarily. I should learn to be present. So I wrote, instead of expecting the worst or expecting the best, you should visualize the best. Feel that you can achieve it, but detach from it at the same time. If it comes, you can accept it, and if it doesn't, then you can accept that too. And you can move on and let things go easier. And that's what it is, really. I think when you are able to detach, you're able to not expect. And detaching requires awareness. It requires this mindset of, it is what it is. If it comes, good. If it doesn't, I'm also good. you never know what's good or bad anyway, because maybe you expected something to happen and something completely different happened and you thought it was bad, but then later on it ends up being a blessing. Let's say if it's with a person, maybe you're not meant to be with that person, and like when it doesn't work out, that feels like the end of the world to you, but really later on you realize that was good. Or with a job, you think that this job is everything and then you lose it, but a new opportunity comes, and instead of losing your job being a bad thing, it turns out to be a really good thing, because if you were still working there, you never would have had this other opportunity come along, because you wouldn't have been looking for it. And that stuff in life happens all the time. And I think this is how you stop expecting the best or the worst, and you just kind of let life flow, is that you detach from that this is good, that's bad. Instead, you make decisions and you make mistakes and you learn from them and you move on. And then when life happens, you don't attach this meaning to it that like makes you feel like everything is about fear, and you just live in fear all the time because you're always afraid that you're going to be disappointed. Stop expecting things. Just live. Just let things be how they're supposed to be, and work on yourself. If you're good with you, then everything else around you isn't much of a big deal. Like even the worst case scenarios, like the worst things in life, good things can come out of them. And I'm not saying to like never be sad and never grieve and never whatever, but you don't have to let it ruin you or control your life. I've met people where they lost their fiance and they didn't let it ruin them or their joy. I've known people who lost their husband, and they're one of the most positive people that I know, because they didn't let that experience project onto all of their future choices in life. Instead, they let it move them forward. They didn't expect bad things or good things. They just took things as they came and dealt with them as they came and learned as they go. Because if you're living in expectation, you're not living in the present. If you're not living in the present, you will not find happiness. You'll always be chasing something else, somewhere else. And that's my little rant about expectations. Obviously, like, there are so many scenarios, and I'm just this thinker of, like, there's so many different perspectives, and there's never really one solid answer for anything, because everybody is different, and everyone's circumstances are different. And so, like, certain things that other people are good at, or certain things that work for them, they're not going to work for someone else in the same way. But that's where you kind of like figure out yourself. This is how I interpret this, but that's my life experienced personality type interpretation of a quote that could mean so many other things, or could be taken in so many different ways. There's never like a right or wrong answer, in my opinion. So I would like you guys to comment what you think, and I will put the quote down there, and just let me know what you take from that, and if your experiences in life with that, and if that's easy for you or hard for you, or like, oh yeah, I don't really expect stuff, or if you're one of those people who expects the worst, or you're always positive and you always expect the best, whatever it is. And we can all compare notes. That's it for now. I'm gonna try to do like shorter videos because they're always so long. I hope you all have a good week. Give this a thumbs up if you liked it. If you'd like to see more, subscribe. You can hit the bell for notifications whenever I post. And I'm trying to post every Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. Ooh, what time zone am I in? I don't know. I'm having a moment. A blonde moment. Central Standard Time. Trying to get a thumbnail. Okay. Bye.